Okay, the day is here. The redo of the 700 to save it for the competition is upon us. The game plan is simple. Drain the tank down to maybe 50%. It's already draining. And manually remove the plants, shaking them off, trying to get as much of the hair algae off of it. Yeah, look at this. These aren't dying plants. They're doing fantastic. You might think, oh, all them plants are dead. Well, let's just grab a random one. How about you? No, let's go over here where it's even worse. Look, can barely even take them out of here. Look at all the algae coming off of it. I might as well just do this right in the tank. I can't even get them apart. I'll show you something really cool. Even though we're having a tremendous amount of hair algae issues, this is the original plant, and then look at all its runners. I just got to get rid of the hair algae. Look, I already did. This is perfect. And now, even though I got sent incredibly healthy plants, they're even healthier now. So I got the whole front end, or at least what I can reach by standing on this stool here and removing the cryptocorin as well as the dwarf chainsword. And we got them in buckets here. This dwarf chainsword is absolutely glorious, incredibly healthy. Looks fantastic now that it doesn't have any hair algae in it. But we also got a massive amount of cryptocorin. We started out with 200 plants, and now I would say we have almost double that. However, you'll notice that there's a few stragglers, and I'll have to get them out. But one of the things I'm doing right now is just taking the siphon and going along, and you'll see little places in the aquarium that have little clumps of hair algae, and I'm trying to manually remove it. The only thing I can't get to is over in that side there. So I'm going to actually have to get into the aquarium to remove the remaining plants. Once we get all those plants out, we'll let everything settle. Again, guys, this is incredibly time consuming. As I explain that, I'm just going to remove a little bit more of this clumps of hair algae. Just got to go along and grab it. Not a big deal. Try to remove as much as I can. But once we get this all out and save as many of the plants as we can, we'll go ahead and start removing the structure, smooth out the substrate. I got to figure out the lava rock too, because there's a bunch in there. So I don't know if I'll keep it in there or remove it or what, but as soon as I get in this tank, I'm not going to be able to see much because I'm going to be walking through this substrate and it's going to turn muddy almost immediately. So much left to do. All of this stuff just ended up killing the moss. Moss isn't really good at surviving hair algae. It's so difficult to remove from the moss. So a lot of the times hair algae will get on moss and it just kills it, but other plants it'll just brush right off, not that big of a deal. Okay, into the tank I go. Interesting, I think we found the culprit. Over on that side where the lights are not hitting as well, the cryptocorin is growing really, really, really well, similar to the piranha tank where I'm only doing about 50 par. You guys know that I measure the par in here, but I was looking for like 100 par with max CO2, doing what I can. I think what I'm going to do moving forward is shoot for about 50, 60 par in this tank with CO2 levels with my drop checker over there, just doing just enough. I think that we need to chill out. And I'm actually feeling really hopeful now. At one point, it did feel like this was doomed. Now I might stand a chance. With my few days left, I just got to make the scape good and dial in the CO2 immediately, which it pretty much is right now. It's using a lot. Keep the lights to around 50, 60 par. But you'll notice that like dripping in the background. Can you see that like that pipe dripping? That's dripping 100 gallons a day of RO, or reverse osmosis water, that's been remineralized. What a mess this is going to be. I'm actually not that mad about the way the substrate looks. It looks far more natural now. Let's go with it Let's see what we can make of this tank outside of the fact that obviously it might not look good, but if it doesn't actually look that great, we'll cap it off with something that does. From there, once all the plants are out, we'll start to remove the bigger pieces because that's going to cause a mess. After that, mix up all the substrate. Tank is drained, all plants and algae removed. Obviously, you got to clean the front of the tank, but you'll notice big old mounds of lava rock. That's because when we initially added it in, I was just kind of pouring it in. And it was used to elevate the aquascape with these little bags here. However, I decided I'm going to pour it back in. I might mix the substrate up or just pull the substrate forward, and I don't know how much mixing I'm going to do because, to be abundantly fair, am I wrong in thinking this looks way more natural than a pristine tank? In my opinion, it looks incredible. But I guess we'll see in due time, because now I got to go to the 2000 and get the main showpiece and see what happens there. I'll have to, of course, cut it down so that it fits in the tank and then the rest can come above. I've got to move the lights. They're going this way and this way. These are way too powerful, by the way. A lot of people thought, like, oh, 2 lights isn't going to be enough. The lights cause the problem. They're way too powerful. I'm going to have to dim them down to 50%. I would firmly believe that these lights would work on tanks that are up to 6 feet long and 3 feet wide. Just one of them, depending on the height that you put it at, just to get that light coverage. But these new, what are they, solar RGB2 lights from ADA are absolutely incredible. I guess maybe that's why they cost what they do. Anyways, I'm going to mess with the substrate a little bit because now that I'm looking at it, there's not a lot of aqua soil over here. I might mix it up a little bit, but I'm certainly going to leave a lot. I'm going to leave all the lava rock in there because it just looks so incredibly natural. In nature, it's not pretty. Nature is not pretty. Let's see what I can come up with. And in trying to correct this situation, you also have to remember we're dealing with 700 gallons of water. This is not an easy task to take care of, just based off water volume. Even though there's 200 plants in there, it's, as you can see, it's not even half the tank. We would have needed 400, 500 plants, and some people would be like, well, why didn't you do that? What would that be? Between $5,000 and $10,000 of plants? We do have budgets around here. And technically, I was just going to let these grow and let them fill in the rest of the tank more naturally. So you get this hair algae outburst. What do? There is no ammonia in the tank. The temperature of the water is about 25, 26 degrees Celsius. pH is more neutral to a little alkaline. However, I've been using reverse osmosis remineralized for water changes, doing 100 gallons per day. Manually removing this, even trying 50% water changes every other day, doing absolutely everything, all the meanwhile testing the lights. Where should they go? What's the best positioning? Its brightness, or should I dim it? Then the CO2. And having to have the CO2 running for 3 to 4 hours before the lights even come on just to get it up to its right level is incredibly mind-boggling to me, but we go through a pound of CO2 a day. So we're trying everything, but me knowing what's going on and how much CO2 I'm going to need, it really makes me nervous about the Asian air water coming in here and CO2 pumping in here for 3 or 4 hours before the plants have a chance to utilize it. You never want to turn your CO2 on at the same time as your plants, otherwise the CO2 simply doesn't have enough time to build up for the proper utilization of the plants. Basically, no matter what I was doing, we're getting hair algae. And to be fair, if I just kept taking care of it like this for the next 5 months, in 5 to 6 months, this tank would have looked absolutely beautiful. But we don't have 5 to 6 months. We've got less than 2. So all the plants were removed. We've got about 2.5 gallons of absolutely glorious looking dwarf chainsword, and then a beautiful amount of cryptocorin, way more than we actually started with both of these. And then a 2.5 gallon bucket filled with some Amazon swords. However, what I'm about to show you, I know that you guys thought I was crazy. I know that you thought I was making a huge mistake, but wait till you see the tank. I decided to go ahead and mix the substrate up. All of the sand, all of the aqua soil, and even the lava rocks. What it came out to be, because I thought, oh, this is going to be horrible looking, but in my opinion, it turned out to look incredibly natural. As we back up from the tank, we're starting to see that this just might shape out to be way better than it was previously. It is, of course, more natural. We have a bunch of different areas of different substrates and combinations, so it's not, look, there's even a pile of lava rock here, and this is literally me just kicking it around. I never did anything special. I mixed it up with my feet, and when I got out, because this is all mucky, I look like Frodo Baggins, but I added in this tree structure here with some added roots, and then the other one over there. I want to take you all along to the side here and see the massive amount of room that fish will be able to swim around it. I also didn't center this one with this one. It didn't look natural. I brought it up a little bit, but the main focus is to have the fish mainly come out to the front. I think what I'm going to do is mainly focus the Amazon swords in between these two, because I can imagine these coming up and creating this big visual block. Maybe a couple on the side of that and maybe over there. But for the most part, I think I'm going to focus them there. Cryptocorin all around here, cryptocorin all around there, and then the rest of the tank will just be dwarf chainsword and eventually be a full carpet. But if not, it's going to look super, super cool because we'll have all this lava rock kind of poking through, looking incredibly natural. But it's certainly going to take me some time to plant all of these plants, because now I started with 200 and there might be 600, so we might even have a better result this time around than last. Finally, I was going to add some big stones and rocks in here. It doesn't need it. After I added the roots, perfect. Absolutely perfect environment for the fish that we're going to be putting in here. Just looks amazing. Now, what about the trees coming out of the aquarium? They're everywhere. There's some over here, some over here. They still got to go in on top. I have to reposition the lights. I'm going to have one kind of angled right here and another one angled kind of like in the front. And this is going to be beautiful. And if this isn't gorgeous in 2 months, well, you guys all know 5 to 6 months, it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Oh, and before we do that, you guys know I took out that big tree structure that stood darn near 5-6 feet. This aquarium's getting this now. We're not turning back. This is going, oh my Lord, this is just so beautiful. And over time we'll add to it. Maybe we'll add in some different types of plants. I'm already thinking here's a fun fact. I can reach back to where I want to plant. There will be no plants behind it at all. Most will be here, and if any want to spread back there, they could do it on their own, but I'm not intentionally planting behind this structure. As for the big tree root, well, it's the identical thing as to what we have in the electrical eel tank. The root goes through here and then goes almost to the entire ceiling. I'm thinking about doing it to the 375, which has the Oscars and Arowana as a holding tank. Oops, forgot to turn that light on. But imagine that in the back, take off all these rocks and whatnot, in the back, push it right to the center, have it come up right through the aquarium in the back, and we plant this discus. And I turn the other light on. So, oh, you want to see something gross? The 2000 is just, looks like it has no fish in it now. Be a lot easier catching them, but everybody's still happy and whatnot. Oh my Lord, those Ultim Angels are absolutely gorgeous. Obviously, like Joey, clean your glass. I got to get in this tank shortly to do a complete rescape of this as well, and I'll do that at that point. So Right now it's just a holding tank, and technically having algae on the surface without having anything in the tank is kind of making them feel a little bit more secure. That pump feeds the filter on the other side, by the way. So that's where we're at with the 700-gallon build now. That's it for today's video. I'm going to edit this and try to get it out to you guys, and then quickly come back and plant this, which is going to take probably 4 hours, fill it up, which is going to be another 4 hours. So obviously we can't really do that today. Technically, while this is filling, I'll be editing that video. But if you want to see me plant it, if you want to see what this is going to look like, make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. If you like this tank idea better than the last, which in my opinion, I could have went either way. I was willing to go either way. Let me know in the comments section below. Love your guys' feedback. Outside of the 3 plants that we're adding, how do you feel about Kabamba, green Kabamba being added? And since I can reach in the tank and reach to where the plants would be, technically we can have it, because I can trim it.